When should parents stop parenting and just be a parent? As a 14-year-old, many of you are probably wondering, how can this kid talk about parenting? I feel you. In fact, I completely understand where you're coming from. But please hear me out. Even kids like myself, and probably many others here, know that parenting is the toughest, most demanding, challenging, responsible, and high-stakes job anybody can ever have. And without pay also. There are no schools, no on-the-job training, and no proficiency exams. It is strictly learn by doing. And even if us children were made out of love, we can still be little demons that come without a user's manual. So you see, I completely understand. However, we children are at the center of this argument. We are the ones on the receiving end of whatever conclusion that is derived from this argument. So I believe that we should at least have a say in all of this. As I have mentioned earlier, parenting is probably the most difficult job in the entire world. There are no real ways to prepare yourself for taking care of a child, which means that you'll most likely have to learn how to take care of a child at the same time while you're taking care of one. A huge irony indeed, because in most jobs where you provide services to the public, a license or certificate is required, which can only be earned by completing an appropriate amount of schooling, followed by passing a competency test. Even marriage requires a license, yet bringing another human being into this world requires nothing more than a pair of functional reproductive systems. Let's get back to our main topic. At what age should parents stop controlling what their children do? Now, there is a very simple answer to the question I have presented. The age at which parents should stop controlling what their children do can vary depending on social, cultural, and individual factors. In most societies, there should be a gradual shift from parental control to increasing independence as the child grows older. This transition is often guided by factors such as maturity, responsibility, and the ability to make informed decisions. Now, as all of this may sound, issues start to emerge when you take a closer look at them. These issues may include questions such as, how do I know if my child is mature enough? Or, how do I raise a child to be mature and responsible? Now, personally, I feel that the second issue here is much more important than this first one. What's the good in knowing when your child is mature enough if you can't even raise your own child to be mature and responsible? A key part of knowing when to stop pampering your child too much is knowing how to raise them to be able to do things on their own. Now, this is mostly dependent on your parenting style. And as many of you have probably already guessed, there are many good and bad ways to go about doing this. Now, there's a personal favorite quote of mine that I usually use when it comes to this topic, that quote being, bad parenting raises bad adults, and good parenting raises good adults. Now, since different people have different viewpoints on how to do things, it leads to the creation of all sorts of different types of parenting styles, including both good and bad ones. Ideally, good parenting styles should be able to raise a person who's mature, responsible, and independent. This person to take care of themselves properly and knows how to be a good person in society. However, to go alongside the good parenting styles, there are also many bad parenting styles, each and all of them bad in their very own unique ways. Some bad parenting styles focus on controlling their children and not letting them do anything on their own. Bad parenting styles focus on, well, they don't really focus on anything because they just let their children do whatever on earth they want. Now, all of these bad styles lead to problems developing in the future of the children that they are raising. Now, let me take my father's philosophy about parenting as an example. It has always been and is still his job to make sure that I am raised to be a responsible and productive person. He does this by teaching me how to do things, showing me what's expected of me, and then letting me do things on my own. As I've gotten older, I've gained increasingly more independence to do things on my own, make my own mistakes, and learn from said mistakes. When I was younger, I had to be monitored over basically everything, and for good reason. Young children don't have a good understanding of the world around them, and so they should be monitored in case they're trying to do something dangerous, like maybe drinking bleach. Now, since I'm 14 years old, my dad has given me full control of my studies, though he is still around whenever I ask for his opinion. At home, both of my parents expect me to participate in certain things, such as doing the dishes, cleaning up after my own mess, not wasting food, and mopping the floors every now and then. All of these are totally reasonable things. I'm not forced to do anything against my will, and my parents expect me to be rational in my way of thinking. I personally believe that the way they handle things with me is very diplomatic and fair. And I also believe that it reveals another vital key within parenting. When you're taking care of a child, it is your job to teach a child the standards that they will stick with for the rest of their lives. As I have mentioned earlier, young children don't have a good understanding of the world around them. And so, to compensate for this, they learn most of, if not everything they know in their early lives, from their parents. So, if a parent were to teach a child that weighing 150 kilos is the standard human weight, said child is going to eat, and eat until they weigh, say, 130 kilos. And the cherry on top is they're still going to think they're healthy because they're 20 kilos below the average human weight. Or if a parent were to teach a child that they can do whatever they want without any consequences, said child is going to grow up and become incredibly selfish and greedy. They're not going to care about anybody else in the world. Now, I think you understand my point. The standards that you teach a child must be just right, not too controlling and not too free, to help raise a mature and responsible human being. Now, given all of these benefits of, raising your child properly, I personally don't understand parents who feel the need to continue controlling their children long after they should have loosened the apron strings, or parents who just let their children do whatever they want. However, as should be noted, it is also important for you to teach your child how to do things properly. It should go without being mentioned, but I'll just say it anyways. It would be a profoundly stupid idea to tell your child to go do the dishes without, teaching them how to do the dishes. Many things can go wrong with this. Say the child may eat the sponge. And last time I checked, sponges aren't so good for your health. The child may break a few plates and utensils, and that's going to cost you a lot. Or the entire family may end up with fried rice and a side of dish soap for their next meal. It is important for parents to gradually empower us to take on more responsibility as we mature. Ultimately, the goal is to make sure we're capable of making our own decisions while receiving guidance and support whenever it is necessary. I speak on behalf of the millions of teens whose voices remain unheard. We need, let me say that again, need parents to focus on us and not our problems. We need your undivided attention. We need you to be interested in our thoughts and feelings and not just our day-to-day life facts. We need your opinion, not your criticism. Perhaps this is why some children just don't seem to mature. They're only given criticism on how to solve the problem at hand, but not advice on how to find a way to solve their own problems. We need your love and acceptance, your time and effort, and most of all, we need your emotional understanding, wherein at times, we need you to be there for us, not just as our parent, but as our friend. I end this with my 2 cents. Making mistakes is not always a bad thing. Encouraging words can have a powerful, positive effect on us. Pray sincerely and focus on the effort, not the abilities. When praise is used correctly, it can make a big, and I mean big difference in your child's self-esteem, intrinsic motivation, and good standing behavior. Lastly, no matter what age your child is, don't try to vicariously live through us, for we are unique, just like you. Love your child enough to always support them. Love them enough to feel proud of them when you see them living out their dreams or accomplishing something meaningful. Never forget that because of your love and support, you are a part of that. You've helped make that possible. Dearest parents, having said that, Mom, Dad, thank you. Thank you for being an epitome of what good parents should be like. I hope that one day in the future, I can be a good example just like you guys. Thank you everyone for opening your hearts and listening to me today. I stand before you unafraid, for my parents have taught me well. Thank you for listening and have a good day, everyone.